Welcome to another episode of Agent versus Lender. And today we have with us Rychen Jones from Keller Williams and the Brian Hurd team. So before we get started, I want to just let you know that that Rychen has a very cool business model. And so we're going to get into that here in just a minute. And I love his business model. But before we get into that, Rychen, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the business and just a little bit about you.
I appreciate that. I was a financial advisor for about 12 and a half years or so in Oregon. My father and I had a wealth management practice there. And I've always done pretty well with numbers and I've been in front of clients talking about financial decisions for really since the day I graduated college. And about 3 years ago, my wife and I just kind of both looked at each other and felt like the time was right to move and to leave Oregon, which is where I grew up. And we felt like Utah was the right place. And with that, we knew a job and or a career change was coming. And so I started thinking seriously about what do I want to do when I grow up? I was 35 at the time. What do I want to do when I grow up? And for some reason, was just really drawn to real estate. And so before leaving, I took my course hours and took my test and walked into Utah with a license, but no brokerage and not active license, I guess I should say. Looked around a little bit, interviewed a couple different brokerages and a couple different teams, settled on the Be Heard in Utah team, which is where I'm at currently with Brian. And that was coming up on 3 years this coming spring. And it's been great. I love it. I love Utah. And we had some family here, but didn't really know a whole lot of people outside of some of my wife's extended family. But we've settled in Sandy and we love it. And we love Utah and real estate it's changed my life in the last 3 years. The opportunities it's given me and people I've met and just the growth that I've experienced being, my own boss, if you will. It's made me stretch and grow and sometimes cry and everything else, but it's been great. Would I do it again in a heartbeat?
So I didn't realize you've only been in the business 3 years.
Yeah, coming up on 3 years in March.
That's even more impressive to me because I actually, before I interview people, I actually look up statistics and I look up what people are doing as far as listings and sales. And I'm telling you, this guy's the real deal. He like crushes it. He's not doing like this one deal a month kind of thing. Rychen sells some homes. And so I'm really impressed that you're that fairly new in the business and just crushing it like you're doing, and especially your business model. So, and which we'll get into here in just a minute. So
you're very kind. Thank you.
So anyway, listen to this guy because he's going to be able to help you with some different marketing tactics that most people take for granted, but it's not really take for granted. They probably just miss the boat on it. Most of us do. So tell me about, so let's just get into it. What is it that you do? What is it that you excel in?
What do I do? I'll tell you what I don't do because it's not a place I want to be. And I know my license says sales agent like everybody else. I hate that idea of being a salesperson. I don't cold call, I don't knock doors, and I do very few open houses. I don't pay for online leads. And that's just not a place I want to be. I would much rather deal with people who know, like, and trust me and want to introduce me to people who they know, like, and trust. And so my business model is basically referrals only. I was looking back at my business this year and I was actually a little bit surprised. I didn't think it was going to hit this number, but 100% of my business this year has been from people I know or have met since I've been here, past clients who are coming back around to either buy or sell again, or referrals. 100% this year. That was about 85% last year, but that's a number that I'm fiercely proud of because that is my bread and butter. That is my business. Like I said, I don't do anything else other than focus on the relationships I have with people who matter most to me, who trust me enough to help them, through a real estate transaction, and then not just forgetting about them when it's over, but, continuing to have relationships with them, over the years, and check, not just checking in with them and, hey, how are you doing? Do you have anybody I can work with? But, you really, I feel like I really get to know the people I get to work with through the transaction, at a time when they need help the most, which I find is also when they're most vulnerable to sharing struggles and concerns about what they're doing. And I think there's a real opportunity to build a really deep, strong relationship in that process that can last for a lifetime, certainly beyond just the transaction itself.
Yeah, that's even more impressive, knowing that your entire business model is by referral only. And I've heard that phrase throughout my career, by referral only. And it's rare that I meet somebody that actually has a model where 100% of their business comes by referral. And especially for somebody that's been in the business only a short amount of time like you have, and then to top that off, that you moved from one state to another without having that referral base. We were talking just before the podcast, and you mentioned that it's you have family here, but that
They don't use me.
no. So tell us a little bit about that.
To be fair, my wife's side of the family has a couple different realtors in her extended family, and I understand that. I mean, I don't even know how many agents we're up to in the Salt Lake area now. Thousands and thousands. Everybody knows somebody, right? So yeah. I don't take offense to it. But yeah, they don't always use me, which is fine. There's plenty of business to go around in Utah.
So you didn't have that like built-in business source of referrals because you have other people within the business. And so you didn't have that built-in relationship with family. You had to go develop that on your own.
Yeah. And part of that was not only developing the relationships, but also people who did know me here. They knew me as Rychen the runner. I run marathons for fun. I've run a couple dozen marathons. Or Rychen, who's the financial advisor, or Rychen, worked with his dad. All these different things. What it wasn't was Rychen the real estate professional. And so the first year or two or three now has really been sort of establishing that narrative of Rychen the real estate professional. And there's business that have come from that. Some close family. My brother-in-law bought a house this year. My cousin moved here and bought a property here. So there is starting to be some family business, if you will. But sure. Most of it has just been actually my very first transaction was with. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I served in LDS mission, and one of my very first conversations was with one of my another missionary who I knew from the mission in Arizona. And it was that time I just started, and my team leader, Brian, was like, go have a couple lunches a week. I was like, geez, I don't know anybody here. Who do I have lunch with? So I called Scott, who was like one of the only people I did know here, not family. And we just had lunch one day, and he just mentioned to me that, they were still living in the townhouse that they had bought, 10 years and 4 kids earlier, and that they needed to, buy a bigger house. And so we helped them sell their house, buy their next one. And Scott's wife, bless her heart, introduced me to 2 people actually within her own neighborhood who then also sold homes in those first couple of months. And I love those guys. I mean, they got me off the ground and got me going to the point where I actually had more people to talk to now. And so it really started with one, and it starts with one, and then knowing what to say and when to say it, and ultimately having enough people to say it to. But if you don't have enough people to say it to, it's knowing what to say and when to say it, and make sure you're really good at it, so that people know what to do when they do come across someone who may need your services. So
how do you change, and I know you just kind of mentioned this, but how do you get people to change from the mindset of Rychen the runner or Rychen that works with his dad to Rychen the real estate agent? So how do you get that people to change that?
Change the perception. Yeah, that's a really good question. I struggled with that at first because I wanted, we all have Facebook pages and whatnot. And I wanted to show everybody in the world what I was doing. Hey, look, I closed this transaction. I helped this person buy this house. Thank you so-and-so for the referral. And it's just overload, right? If you're not careful with your balance of social media posts, if all it is real estate, you get tuned out real fast. And so I've become better at that of mixing in the real estate posts with, life posts, family, kids, my cat, whatever it is, running, whatever it is. But also just getting very clear on what, we talked about this before we started, getting very clear on what are my strengths, where do I excel most, and really focusing in on that. We talk about in our team, when you try to market to everybody, you actually market to no one, because it's just noise in the sphere of real estate noise. Mm-hmm. So part of it's been really developing a narrative of what are my strengths, who do I really help the most, and do the best job for, and who do I really want to work with more than anything? Who do I want to jump out of bed and help every day? There's a certain profile of client that I have up on my wall over here, of the most common characteristics of the people I love working with the most. And I found as I've focused on those things, those people start to appear in my life, or start to appear in people who I've been able to help in their life. And so it's a business that feeds itself. But as far as changing the perception, it's been showing up, doing the work, not spiking the football every possible chance you get, but taking an opportunity here and there to spike the football a little bit, celebrate a success or someone else's success, and really just being consistent with it, not just on social media, but in conversations with people as well. Letting them know that I'm still a real person. I still enjoy running. I still enjoy other things, and not leading every conversation with real estate.
Yeah, well, and I think what a lot of people forget on social media is that it's social.
Yeah,
it's
interactive. It's engagement, right?
Yeah, it's a two-way street, man. So social media, man, if you're posting on social media, it's okay to let people know what you do for a living. It's okay, but they also want to know, just like you said, that you still are a runner. You still do some of these other things. Here's some of my family, and it's kind of a two-way street. So if you want people to react with your posts, you probably need to react with some of other people's posts too. That's the social aspect.
Yeah.
So I'm, kudos to you for realizing that, because a lot of people don't. I'm friends with a lot of people on social media, and some of those people, that's all I see is business stuff. And pretty soon you're right. It's just like, okay, I get it. You're a loan officer. You're a photographer. You're a real estate agent. You're whatever it is you are. I get that, but I want to see something besides that at least once in a while. I just want to see, who are you really?
Yeah, give me a reason to be engaged with you, right? Like,
right.
I'm not selling my house. Great, I don't need to pay attention. Hey, I'm not buying a house. Okay, I don't need to pay attention. You got to give me a reason to engage with you at least somewhat, so that when that moment does come up, you're on their mind. Oh, you know what? I've seen Rychen. Yeah, he does real estate. Yeah, you know what? Now I've got a need. Reach out to him.
Yeah, so that reminds me of something you said actually before the podcast. Is we were talking about knowing and trusting somebody, and you said one more thing. And what was that? You added one that know, because when people like to do business with people they know and trust, and that's how they refer. And we talked about so I'm going to get into that in a second. So, but what was it that you said that you added to that?
Yeah, so the fourth element, and this is not, I don't take credit for this. As a team, we're reading Larry Kendall's book, Ninja Selling, right now, which is great. Mm-hmm. But in there, it's people who know, like, and trust you, and who remember you. And he has this whole idea about being in flow with people, and being in flow with someone, just, being on top of their mind because you're, reaching out to them, you're in contact, they get your mailer, they get your email, your market update, whatever it is, that you're in flow with them, so that they know, like, and trust you already, but they also remember you when either they have a need, or a coworker, friend, family, they're in a conversation at a Christmas party and someone mentions the prices of new tower or the interest rates, or, hey, I'm thinking about this or that. They remember you and go, hey, I've got someone I need you to talk to because ...
So, I think everybody as real estate agents, we probably all have heard the statistics from the NAR that says that most people would use their real estate agent again, but most don't. And that's the reason why, is because they don't remember who you are. So what are some of the things that you do, because you are so good at getting those referrals? What is it that are some of those things that you do to help your past clients remember who you are?
Yeah. The frightening statistic that goes along with that is most people can't remember their name of their realtor from 5 years ago, which is just sad. Like, right, you did all the work to either lead generate and find them somehow, and all the work through a transaction, and all of a sudden they can't remember your name. Like that's heartbreaking. What do I do? For me, it really starts right from the beginning. The very first time I talk to somebody, I'm setting expectations along the way of, here's the experience you're going to have. Here's what I'm going to provide for it. Here's the people we're going to bring and put around you to make it really simple and easy. But I'm setting the expectation right from the beginning that, if you want the one-line script, it's, hey, at the end of the appointment, hey, Ron, this has been great. We're going to do this and that. We have to find a house. Hey, my purpose here is to make you so outrageously happy. You gladly introduce me to the people you know, like, and trust yourself, because you know they're going to have the same great experience that you're about to have. Would it be all right if I asked you a couple times along the way, is there anybody that you come in contact with that I can talk to? No one's ever said no to that question, first of all. But it really just sets up a little mini agreement with us that any point down the road, I can ask them a quote unquote referral question. And I never ask them like, hey, like, who do you know? And just sit there and wait for them. It's a little more subtle than that. But we already have this agreement, and they've already agreed to introduce me to someone if they came across somebody. And so then my job is just to remind them of that every once in a while and get them thinking about it. So that's the very first appointment. And then there's this idea of what we call peak moments. And again, there's a YouTube video out there you can go find about peak moments. I can't remember who was doing the video.
I'm sorry, what moment?
Peak moments.
Peak
moments. And in the 4-minute YouTube video, like, think of like Disneyland. You go to Disneyland with your family, and it's not all peak moments, right? You're coming down Splash Mountain, you get the picture taken. That's a peak moment, right? What's not a peak moment? When you're standing in line and your kids are running all over the place, and they're tired and they're hungry and they got food all over themselves. Those are not peak moments. But what do you remember from Disneyland when you go? You remember the picture coming down Splash Mountain, right? You remember whatever it is else that it was, those peak moments. We have so many peak moments in a real estate transaction that if one, as real estate agents, we should anticipate them because we know where they're coming. But we also should be setting ourselves up for having a conversation in those moments, because that's when our clients are most happy with us. That's when we are most referable. We're solving problems for them. They love that we're doing that for them. They're super excited about things. That's when they are most likely, like, they're going to jump in front of a train to prevent someone from working with somebody else. Those moments happen. A couple of moments might be maybe a clean. Well, first of all, they get pre-approved by their lender, right? Hey, great. Hey, we just got great news. We are pre-approved. We can go look at a house. Oh my gosh, we're so excited to look. We'll run through a couple here. Certainly getting under contract, peak moment. Clean inspection, or you've negotiated the inspection items that we want to get addressed, peak moment. Clear to close, peak moment. Appraisal comes in. I know that's kind of a concern right now with where prices are in Utah. Is the appraisal going to come in? Is it not? Peak moment. The closing table, I think, is a peak moment. I don't ask for a referral at the closing table ever. That's their moment. That's their time to shine. It's their moment to bask in buying a house or selling a house. That's not my time to encroach on that. So I don't ask that question at the closing table.
You know what? I love that. That's I have never heard somebody say that, but I love that philosophy that it's their moment at that point of time. Yeah. And if you have not, so sorry, I know I just cut you off.
No, you're good.
But you have said so much in just this little time. It's just like you are setting up expectations from day one.
Mm-hmm.
And
the companion piece of that, if I can, is I'm training my clients how to introduce me to people all along the way as well. Not only am I getting the mini agreement with them that they're willing to do it, but then I'm training them how to do that. Okay, hey, my purpose is to make you so outrageously happy. Is that okay if I ask you? Yes, yes, yes. Hey, great. Hey, Ron, when that moment happens, when you come across, maybe and now I'm narrowing their universe of people, right? When you come across a coworker or someone on your street or a family member or someone at church, will you do me a favor and pull out your phone, look at my number, and just shoot me a text message, and we can talk about the best way to introduce me to them? Great. Awesome. Thank you. It's so simple. Again, that's the knowing what to say part, right? If I found oftentimes, I find myself this as well. If I don't know what to say ahead of time, I will go on and on and on and on about something that the person in front of me doesn't care at all about. If I can just keep it very simple instructions, very simple encouragements, that's easy to take in, easy to absorb, and easy to remember, right? That know, like, and trust can remember you, because it was meaningful rather than just 15 minutes of telling them about the market when all they wanted to know was, hey, what's the house selling next to me for?
Right. You know what? So for anyone that's listening to this podcast right now, if you haven't noticed, Rychen has been giving you so many scripts, because this isn't, he says he's not a salesman. And what I like about Rychen is that he doesn't come across as a salesman. He's internalized these scripts, and this isn't all by accident. I'm not even asking him this question, but I know that this is not all by accident. These are things that he's been taught by probably a mentor, and he's internalized and taken in these scripts so that it just flows off his tongue like it's just part of the conversation.
Yeah. There's no reason to recreate the wheel. Like, if it's working, you just get really good at it. So it becomes so natural that when you hear something in a conversation, you don't have to think about which direction am I going here. You've got a toolbox ready to go. And not being salesy, just as it becomes part of your natural conversation.
Yeah. So if you haven't noticed the scripts, then you need to stop, rewind this, and go back and listen, because he's just given you, I mean, I can't even count how many scripts that he's already given you. So I think that's one of the things that a lot of agents, real estate agents, agents, loan officers, it doesn't matter. We're all lacking in our scripts. And so if you go back and listen, he just gave you a whole bunch of them, and you can use them in yours as well. So, and I like that you've set expectations, like I said, right from the very beginning, and you continue with those expectations throughout, and you're setting yourself up for referrals, because if you wait till the end of the transaction to ask for the referrals, like at the closing table, you've missed it.
Yeah, we actually have a standard on our team of getting, we call them introductions rather than referrals, but getting an introduction 50% of the time during the transaction. That's a standard that we have. It's a goal we shoot for. It's something we're thinking about. Because if you waited till the end to ask for the first time, it sounds desperate. I mean, it sounds like, okay, well, now I'm done working with you. Now I need someone else to work with. Who do you know? It doesn't come. I don't think it comes across as authentic. And you haven't done anything. You haven't had any sort of mini agreements along the way when you were at your most referable point to even, if they're even willing to introduce someone. They probably are, but you didn't take the time ahead of time to actually ask them if that would be okay. And now you're at the end, you're like, okay, I need someone else to work with. Do you know anybody? That sounds salesy to me.
Yeah. The funny thing is when I'm in a conversation like this, I always think about whenever you buy a new car. So what was the last car that you bought?
Well, it was a scary moment because I had just started. I just quit my old job and started real estate, and my transmission on my old car went out. So it was April of 2018.
So what kind of car was it
that went out, or that I bought?
Yeah. What car did you buy?
I bought a 2015 Honda Accord.
Okay. So Honda Accord. So when you bought that car, you probably knew that you were going to buy that before the day you purchased it. And so all of a sudden you're driving down the road and you start noticing, oh, there's a Honda Accord. I kind of like that color. Oh, I like that year of Honda Accord. Oh, so all of a sudden you start seeing lots of Honda Accords.
Yeah.
You're in the process of buying a Honda Accord.
Yeah. It's called the reticular activator system in our brain, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What we start focusing on, we start seeing a lot of, and that's what we're trying to get our clients to do, right? We're trying to get our clients to focus on, hey, there's opportunities out there all over the place of people looking to buy, sell, refinance, invest in real estate, whatever it may be. We're just trying to, and if you caught the script earlier, it's narrowing the universe of people from who do you know to coworker, family, friend, person at church, neighborhood. People can conceptualize that a lot easier than who do you know. That's a lot of people.
Right. And so if you wait till the end, you've just missed that whole opportunity of them being in that process. So when you buy a car, it's a fairly fast transaction, but you still notice all these other cars out there that the car you're buying. So
and how many conversations, I would love to see a statistic on this. How many conversations are our clients having while they are looking for a house or under contract or selling house? How many real estate conversations are they having with, I mean, all their neighbors want to know, hey, where are you moving? Why are you moving? How much are you going to pay for your house? You know, this and that. They're having conversations every day with people closest to them. Like that's why our standard is 50% of the time we get a referral during the transaction, because we know they're having more conversations in those 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks than they're going to have for the next probably 5 years with the people that they know.
Right. Which is why you have to do it during the process. You wait till the end. And that's what both of us just said, is you wait till the end, you totally missed it. You missed that whole process of them talking to people, because when it's over, they're not going to notice as much because they're already done.
Yeah.
So it's just like you have to set them up for that expectation from the beginning and have those conversations during the entire process. And that's how you increase your referrals. And that's how you set up a business like Rychen has done, is to set that up at the beginning, and then you're getting referrals throughout that process. Without doing it that way, you will never have a referral only business like Rychen has done.
Yeah. If I can add one more thing, there's a couple other pieces I think are important here. One is, like I said, we said kind of at the beginning, we're doing all the work to find the client, right? Whatever our lead generation system is. If we handle it right, the lifetime value of that relationship can be multiple times more than that one transaction. And so for me, I'm just trying to be efficient. Why would I want to start from scratch every single time if I can do a really good job for somebody and have that lead to, I have one client who bought a house in August 2018. They've referred me probably 8 to 10 people in the last 2 years. Probably 6 or 7 of them have bought homes. That's a really high lifetime value of that one relationship that we did he called me the other day. He had a problem. They were trying to refinance his duplex, and he couldn't find his letter saying it was a non-conforming duplex. And the appraiser was going to, dock him a whole bunch of money because he didn't have the letter. And I went back to my file. I dug it out. It took me an hour or so to find everything. I sent the letter. He sent the appraiser. He's good to go. He's thrilled with his refinance on his duplex. It didn't get me any money, but the number of people he's referred to me and the relationship that we continue to have 2, 3 years down the road, it's absolutely beneficial to everybody. The other thing I would say that I really focus on is if they have kids, connect with their kids through the process, especially the younger kids. It's awesome to me to go this time of year. We're going around, I'm dropping off gifts, clients, things like that. And nothing makes me more happy when they open up the door and the 7-year-old kid's like, Rychen, like they still remember me a year later, right?
That's cool.
When the client's kids like you, they're going to like you. Yeah. And there's different ways to do that, different ways to connect with the kids, along the process. I try to include the kids in the process as much as possible, though. Maybe they're moving schools, they're moving neighborhoods, there might be some anxiety there. And so, whatever you can do to kind of help the kids feel a part of that process, it can only help you, because like I said, later on, again, when you show up for Christmas or they see you at your summer barbecue or your pumpkin patch activity and the kids remember your name, that's a pretty good indication that the parents probably remember your name also.
Yeah. So I remember back in the day, whenever I say that, it's just like, oh, Ron, you're gray hair. So But back in the day when I was single, I remember being taught that by somebody. So the same concept is, if you want to get the girl, you guy, you got to get their kids. So if they have kids, you make sure that the kids like you, because then this was, of course, this was, I had been married before, so a lot of the people I was dating had kids already. And so it's the same concept. It's just like, if you want the parents to like you and the kids hate your guts, it's just like you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
Like you're just not going to go anywhere. So if the kids like you, so that's a great concept, Rich. And
it goes the other way too, right? A lot of
that business conversation with before about that.
Well, it goes the other way too, right? A lot of my first time buyers who maybe, in their young 20s, they're kids, right? They're still young. Yeah. They're great though. They're great. But who do they bring along with them to show the house to, or with for the inspection? They bring parents. If you're not making friends with those parents, man, those parents are gonna have way more influence over your clients in that situation than you are. I want to, first of all, I try to find out if the parents are going to be there, because if they are, I want to be prepared for it. But certainly the parents may never use you for a real estate transaction, but if they like you, that's going to help you when they're talking to their kids when you're not there about that particular house, or whatever is going on.
Yeah. So that is a great point. You know what I like too is about as referrals is when you're out, like you said, when you're out cold calling or you're door knocking or your internet leads, is you have to build a relationship and you have to build that trust. Mm-hmm. But when you get a referral, there's a transfer of trust that goes with that referral. So you have somebody that knows, likes, and trusts you and remembers you, and all of a sudden, when they refer you, it's like they've already told him, Rychen, man, this guy's the bomb. It's just like, you need to use him. So you've already built a relationship, so to speak, and you've already have that transfer of trust, and you don't have to go out and compete like you do with internet leads or with just about any other kind of lead.
Yeah. That's true. What I find, I found about important. 9. Yeah, sorry. I find about 9 in 10 referrals I get, I'm not being shopped against anybody else. And what that does for me is it gives me a full different level of confidence walking into that first appointment or making that first phone call to them. Not that I can't just like mail it in. Certainly, I still have to show up. But now, instead of wondering, what did the other guy offer them? Were they offering to do it for 4%? Or I'm not worried about external factors I can't control. My only job is to connect with them, listen to them, identify what their needs are, help them understand, kind of what the process is, wherever they're at, and do a really good job for them. And I think that builds that relationship in that first phone call or appointment so much faster when we as real estate professionals are not worrying about whatever, who else is coming at us here? What do we got to do to fend them off? Because this is our territory. We walk in with confidence, and people in front of us feel that. They can feel like if we're relaxed and know our stuff and know what value we can provide and know that we can guide them through and we're listening to them, versus, man, this guy, man, he's doing everything he can to get my business. I wonder if he'll drop to 3.5% this listing. Maybe I can get down to 3. It's just a whole different conversation that goes on. And then, like I said, starting at that first conversation, that's a very natural, I'm comfortable with Rychen. Bobby was comfortable with Rychen. Now I am. Yeah, I would introduce to people I know that I can trust. Yeah, great. No problem. This is great. Let's go. Let's sign paperwork. What do we need to do next?
That's awesome. Man, I don't even know what to go. My head's like exploding, because this has been a really informative, fun interview. Just because there's so many golden nuggets. Like a lot of my podcasts, you'll get some. This one's like every few minutes, it's just like, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. So this has been awesome. I appreciate it.
It's been great. Thanks for having me.
So how can people get hold of you, Rychen?
So I'm out there on social media. No one can say my name right. So my Instagram handle is Rychen Famous. just say it fast and it'll work. But it's spelled RYCHEN, famous. That's my Instagram affiliate page. You can find me on Facebook as well, Rychen Jones. And if you need to email me, you can find all the links, through those places. But I'm happy to chat. And it's Ron, you and I were talking about this beforehand. There's plenty of business to be had around Utah. I'm happy to answer questions or whatnot. And it's real estate has changed. I said at the beginning, real estate has changed my life. And so if it can change someone else's life, I'm happy to do whatever I can to help that.
I appreciate that. To me, that's called an abundance attitude. That, like, a lot of people are afraid that if they share too much, like, somebody's going to take their business away from them. And it's just like, you don't have that attitude. And I appreciate that. That's sometimes hard to find. So I appreciate you sharing and so freely your scripts, your methods. I appreciate that. That's I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that's going to get a lot of value out of this. So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
So if you need to get hold of me or my team, the best way is just call or text us. The phone number, the best phone number is 801-628-7667. You can get hold of me at Ron at the Pippin team, and I'm like all over social media too. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I'll just look me up, Ron Pippin. You'll find me sooner or later. So thanks, Rychen. I appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time on Agent versus Lender.